Havatima, everyone. How's it going? Did you have a good time? We weren't here last week. I'm sorta sorry. But Drew, how do you feel?
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, I guess that works. I guess that's
No,
fine.
no. Don't give me credit for that. I was trying to do ActRaiser and I couldn't. It didn't quite come out. I was also trying to do Crypt Keeper, but I don't exactly know what Crypt Keeper says. Is Crypt Keeper like, I'm the Crypt Keeper. Come.
It was
come
a
get
scary
some
thing that
crypts."
scared me in my childhood, and
The Crypt Keeper.
yeah, I saw that thing on TV once. It was like, "What is that?"
I saw Skeletal. I mean, yeah, I can get behind being scared of the Crypt Keeper. I mean, he
Yeah,
keeps crypts. Who does that? That's a creepy guy.
yeah. It's a little bit of a creepy guy, just a tad bit of a creepy guy.
I mean, I've never been introduced to someone who's like, "Oh yeah, I am the Gravekeeper or the Crypt Keeper," and they're like super suave. And I just realized I'm shitting all over like people who take care of grave. I'm sure they're nice people and pleasant people, but like,
You've pissed off a few Catholic nuns, probably.
I don't think there's nuns out there like digging graves. I'm talking about like the people who live in graveyards, who have like little shacks or houses, like the guy from
That's
Ocarina of Time. That guy. That's what I imagine when I think of Gravekeeper.
okay.
That or Crypt Keeper. I mean, Crypt Keeper is literally a skeleton with skin on it, but
It's some would even say that's not a skeleton.
I mean, aren't we all skeletons with skin on them?
Technically, there's a little more, but I guess you're not wrong. Welcome to the blank space, everybody.
I don't like
been-
playing Blanca. He's not very fun to play. He's not my play style.
Where
He
we
shocks
just fill it in with something.
Can we rename this episode to the Blanca Space and just talk about Street Fighter all day?
What's a Blanca?
Ant, have you ever played Street Fighter? Any of them?
I've seen the movies.
Oh no. Oh, wait, movies? So
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
I've-
down the list of them that I know of, and you tell me if you've seen them. Step
Oh,
1, Street Fighter the
oh.
movie.
Oh wait, stop now. You think I know the names?
Okay, Street Fighter
were
the movie with
mistaken.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I feel like I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right. The Legend of Chun-Li.
Hey, okay, no.
Okay. The animated movie.
Yes.
You've seen the animated movie?
I've seen all the ones that exist, I think.
What?
Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen, like, a majority of the Street Fighter animated movies, and they've all been terrible.
Are you like a closet Street Fighter fan or something? Like,
No, like,
have I just never heard
I've
this
just,
about you?
I've just happened to come across them, and I've yet to play any of the Street Fighter games.
So okay, hold on. I'm trying to straighten
So,
this
yeah.
out. I'm trying to straighten this out. So you have seen all of these Street Fighter movies for some reason or another,
Yeah, that's about right.
but have never laid hands on a controller to play. Because I imagined all of a sudden I was going to realize something very interesting about you, that apparently your taste in video games are 4X strategy games and Street Fighter. Which wouldn't be super weird, but it was just one of those things I didn't know where it's just like, I don't know if I believe you. That was just so much. I was like, you've seen like all of them, but you've never played. We need to fix this. You need to play Street Fighter at least once.
Okay. To be honest here, right? Like, I maybe played like 5 minutes of Street Fighter once in like an arcade, and I was like, this shit's garbage, and I just walked away and went to play the shooter game.
Boy.
I think I went to go. I think I went to go play Time Crisis or something like that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't know if you're gonna make any friends by saying Street Fighter is hot garbage, but
Whoa,
you know,
hold up,
that's
hold
all
up here.
you. That's all
let
you.
Let me be diplomatic here, right? Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay. I'm not saying it's garbage. I'm just saying that in my eyes, it's garbage.
All right.
See, there's a key difference. I believe other people can see it's good, but my eyes refuse to see that.
Well, I guess you're blind then.
I'm okay with that. I know what I am. It's been very difficult all these years.
So I'm not gonna lie, I looked up Street Fighter movies because I realized that I don't know a lot. Other than the three I named, there was one other I kind of knew, which was an animated one, but I was like, I don't know if they're like, I don't know how many there are. There's a lot of Street Fighter movies.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Like I know I've seen like a good amount of them, like way too many than I have right to see.
Yeah, there's one called like Assassin's Fist, which was like a TV show, I think, or
Hmm.
something. I don't really know. God, this is just how many of these
Okay, I've
are
never
there?
seen a TV show, so you got me there, Drew.
Wait, you've
You
never
got me
seen a
there.
TV show like any?
All
Any
right,
at all?
guy. You step back now.
Okay, all right. Let's go down the list. Have you seen Arthur? Arthur, you know, like the aardvark and a bunny, he's just hanging out in the
The one
neighborhood.
with the red dog.
We have so
I'm
much.
being
We have
okay.
so much
Okay, stop.
learning.
Okay, no. I know what it is, Drew.
I
I
need a
can't.
montage to show you lots of TV shows in a short period of time. Go. Okay, and now that you've seen all TV shows ever created in that short montage that we put in between the cut and the podcast, there,
Chains
how
of
do you
Love.
feel?
Um, I feel like my soul has been stripped away. Um, that I am a husk of the man that I once was.
Wait,
And
wait. So in this alternate timeline where I've showed you every single TV show ever existed, does that include anime?
it also includes soap operas too.
Oh no! And
and that's what broke my spirit.
and look, I really need some help. I gotta. Somebody put a gun to my head. It's crazy. They want to know what happened in season 14, episode 2 of Days of Our Lives. What happened?
The jankest shit you've never seen.
Okay, he's letting me go. He's letting me go. He accepted that as an answer.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know why.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so besides the odd TV shows that we may or may not have seen,
You've seen
right?
all of them. Yeah, don't downplay it. Don't humble brag.
Um, there is something I ended up doing over the last 2 weeks I was not here.
Yes. What was that? I feel like this is gonna be story corner for a little while here.
It is. Actually, there's two things we've done. Oh, shoot. One we did together, one I did by myself. Okay, that sounds bad out of context. But I did play Stalker. Oh god, this isn't sounding good either.
So we watched all TV shows under the sun over this weekend. We just sat down and had a marathon. But no, sorry, you were saying you were being stalker to me.
Yeah, so I actually played a bit of the Stalker series.
Okay.
I dipped my toe in it. You know that Russian RPG about guys called stalkers that pretty much go to Chernobyl and shoot monsters.
This is not what I expected when you said you played a stalker game. This is not what I expected at all. But you did say Russia, so
Yeah, yeah. It was an interesting experience. I learned how great Fallout 3 is of a game.
that's the funny thing about the Stalker series. I've always heard they're really really good immersive games, but they're so jank and they feel
Yeah.
weird to play.
Yeah, it feels really weird to play. Like you're literally just thrown in a field, and you're like, "Go get to the helicopters," and you're like, "What? Where's my map?" Okay, I guess I'll hit M key. Oh, it's not M. All right. Where's map on my keyboard? How do I change guns? What do I have? Where's my inventory? This isn't making sense. Why is P for map? Who puts P as map? Like it does like a lot of weird controls that it does not explain to you at all. And there's like no tool tips, so like you can just be like, "Oh, okay, I'll go over to this guy and say like, "Hey, what's up?" "Oh, I got to put my gun down before talking to people? Otherwise they think I'm going to shoot them?" I mean, that's realistic, but like, okay. Like there's a lot of things that it does that's like, "All right, I can see why this is something that you can get deep into, but like you better bring like a few blank pages with you to write shit down on.
Mm. So it's got some like puzzles or like just specific things it wants you to remember, but won't give you a key about it. It won't say like, oh, you should remember this. Here's like a notepad you can write it down in, or a journal. We automatically do it. It's like, no, you should really write this down.
You know you should have your own journal and you're writing things down.
Mm.
So yeah, that was pretty foreboding for me because like for me, I'm willing to jump into a game, right, and like really enjoy it. But I never realized how much I liked a little bit of hand holding.
Really? Do you want to
Yeah,
expand on that a little bit?
yeah. Like the thing is, right? Like I play a game to like relax and have fun, not to do like work, right? Like I feel like to get the full potential of the Stalker games is to put in a lot of work, which is not what I'm willing to put into. Just because like when I'm sitting back and having an RPG, I'm more interested in enjoying the story of it than like actually, going through like the mechanics of like, uh trying to figure out like, oh, how do I get to this or how do I get to that or like, kind of deal. I'm more interested in like going through the story kind of guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it also comes down to expectations. Like if you go into Stalker, it's not like you're expecting to have like Myst style puzzles or
Mhm.
like stuff you really really need to hunker down and like think and worry about. But
Like for instance, like I really enjoyed Met the Metro series because it's a nice you can like go around a little bit, but you're pretty much going down a path that and it has like a set story, and I enjoy games like that, right?
hmm,
And I enjoy things like well, actually, I enjoy like how New Vegas or like the Fallout games like do their story, not the non-isometric ones. Um, just because like it tells you like hey you can just completely explore this map but we're also going to give you an interface that once you start something you can get to the end of it kind of deal, right? And that's something I find really really nice as well.
yeah, it's what's the word? Accessibility about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know if you ever played it, but there's you played the recent XCOM games, correct?
I've played one of them.
Okay, but you know how they feel, how they play, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really got into those games. I really got into the newer editions of XCOM, like
Mm-hmm.
XCOM Enemy Unknown. I haven't played XCOM 2 yet, but I plan on it soon. Um, and I really enjoyed Enemy Unknown. I was like, okay, let me go back and play like the original ones because I've heard they're even more tactical and more fun. I booted up which one of them, I forget which one, and it was like new game. Okay, hit, and it just shows you a planet that's spinning, and it tells you things that happen, and you need to just figure it out. I couldn't even really get into it because I didn't know what I was doing. It didn't give you a guide or didn't tell you
Mm-hmm.
like a tutorial or anything. It was just like we're just throwing you into it, and we hope you know what you're doing. I imagine maybe eventually it would have, but like it was so off-putting that it left a sour taste in my mouth. And I imagine it's similar to what happened with you and Stalker, where just your initial entry point into this series was so jarring and not in a good way.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Mm.
Definitely fair to say.
Do you think you're gonna go back to it?
You know what? I feel like I will go back to it at some point, right? But no times. You know what? Probably not actually. Just because like it lacks so many quality of life things that like I've enjoyed from the Fallout games. I'm gonna find it really hard to enjoy, kind
Yeah.
of deal. Like if I were to sit back down with it again, like I'd have to make a concerted effort. Like okay, I gotta prep for this. Let's get some pads and paper. Let's get ready to jump into this thing, kind of deal. And for the most part, that's not what I enjoy from my gaming experiences. I like being able to just work everything within the game itself and that kind of thing. Now, I'm not knocking anybody that like enjoys like having to do the extra work, but it's just when I go down to sit and play a game, that's not what I'm looking for.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's different tastes. Like I I think Myst is a great game, and I'm sure there's a lot of things people love about the game,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't stand it. That game is just so obtuse for me. To really wrap my head around it, I would really have to sit down and dedicate myself to saying, like, I'm going to play this game until I know what I'm doing, and nothing's gonna stop me. And it's sad because I think I'd really like Mist's story and like atmosphere and how it plays and everything like that. If I could just get
Mm-hmm.
over the obtuseness of how the game is built and what it wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I
That's
was
fair.
if I was going to make that into like a more relatable point, I find that hard about a lot of 4X strategy games
Mm-hmm.
where I need to learn so many mechanics about this game that if I was just to jump into it, like all of a sudden you were just like, yeah, just start playing Stellaris. Here, I'm going to start up a multiplayer game. Let's go. It's like, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
put it on like normal, I don't know, hard difficulty. Yeah, normal's too easy. Let's throw it on hard. I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. It would just be so obtuse. I wouldn't understand the mechanics or the system, and it would throw me so quickly into a game that it just, I don't know.
I kind of I kind of get what you mean there,
Yeah, and
right?
I get the feeling I personally would get the same feeling from Stalker, even though I haven't played it myself.
What's a game I actually got that feeling from was actually another type of 4X strategy game was called Star Drive, right?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. How you said you didn't have a good time with it?
Yeah, it's I was I've never been so instantly turned off of a strategy game than Star Drive
Hmm.
because it doesn't have a pause button and it's real time.
Oh, so the entire game. Oh, so you really don't play real time 4X games,
Well, here's
or
the
at least
thing,
for real
right?
time strategy
But
games.
well, no, I do, right? But they have pause buttons when you play single player, at least, so you can start to understand, like, okay, so what does this thing do? Can I look through the tech trees? Can I see what everything's so about here in the game, right? It doesn't let you do that.
Okay.
When I first played it, there was no way to do that, and it completely turned me off the game. Because, like, for me, I like jumping into those type of games and figure out, okay, so how does this work? How does this relate to that, right? Because it's all within the interface there, and it's something I can pick up. Well, with a little bit of work, right? But it's something I can pick up. But if the game doesn't even allow you to stop, pause, and like see what everything's about, it's so stressful. It's like when I play Majora's Mask, right?
Hmm.
It's like, okay, I just want to walk around, but I feel like there's a timer at my back the entire time. But I'm not even allowed to just figure out things, kind of deal, right? Like it always feels like there's some sort of timer at my back, and I absolutely hate it.
Hmm.
So I kind of get what you mean, like when you just like jump into something to be like, this is too much, kind of deal.
Yeah. I always come down on accessibility for these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason I love Fallout. I love the Fallout setting, the series, the
Mm-hmm.
writing, everything about it, except for 4. But we'll do that another time. I I have never gone back and played the isometric Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics because I find some of their interface and some of the way they built the game to be, I don't want to say inaccessible, but outdated's a good word for it. Like, I imagine at
Okay.
some point people thought this was a really good way of controlling a game. And now we're in 2017. And it's not a good way to control a game anymore. So,
Yeah, that's for sure.
it's certainly a thing where I'm like, I'll go back and play it, but it's going to be one of those times I dedicate time to do it.
Yeah, you're right there. Like it's something like I really don't like the isometric feel, right? It's something that I find hard to enjoy. The only one of the few games that I did play like that was Diablo 2, right?
Mm.
And just the way how it was just set up, just I always felt like I was fighting to accurately control. I don't know. It's just a style of play that's hard for me to enjoy.
Hmm.
Oddly enough, when I played Path of Exile, though, it felt kind of good to play. Would you consider Path of Exile isometric? Right, that's not
Yeah.
isometric, is it?
No, it is. It is.
It is.
It is. And here's the thing: I'm a huge fan of Diablo 2 and Path of Exile, but Path of Exile made some small quality of life changes to make the game easier to play.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more accessible. It's modernized a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't say from experience, but Diablo 3, well, I can say from experience, but not the current experience. Diablo 3 does a much better job of making
Okay.
the game feel better. But at the same time, I would recommend Path of Exile over it anyway. Path of Exile feels really good to play. It's it's a good updating of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I know, like, I'm always very, I don't know, the whole isometric style, just it just kind of really turns me off to trying it out. I feel like, you know what, if I sat down with it and like really gave it a good shot for like a few of those, like I could get into it a little bit, but like again, it's kind of like the whole stalker situation where it just makes it really hard to enjoy just because of like, you know, the ancientness of it. I'm referring to, by the way, the like older type of isometric titles at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I have no issue entirely with an isometric camera on principle, but the kind of games we're talking about are games that are a bit older. Like they haven't aged as well or anything like that. Like for instance, Baldur's Gate. I've been trying to get into Baldur's Gate because that game really appeals to me, where it's kind of like a Diablo kind of game, but a lot more on the RPG side of things, and apparently the story's fantastic. I've been trying to get into it, but it's not that it's an isometric game, but it's one of those games designed
You can tell it's
while
old.
ago. Yeah, it was designed a while ago and hasn't aged well.
Hmm. You know, it's this. It's kind of like when you play even things like, for me, even Oblivion at this point, right?
Ugh.
Like since I've played Skyrim, huh? Like it's hard to enjoy Oblivion now. You know?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've never liked how Oblivion plays. I even have some
Okay.
problems with how Skyrim plays, but
I mean,
that's just me personally.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
But
but
like, it's hard to go back to some of those older games sometimes, just because innovations were made, and once you have those innovations, it's hard to go back.
yeah, absolutely. Like one good example is I'm super interested to see how the next Zelda game comes, because we have Breath of the Wild right now, which is an open world exploration combat kind of Zelda game, and it's
Hmm.
incredible. It's a big innovation of the series, and I will be super interested to see what happens with the next game that is released, because obviously those mechanics felt really good to play. And then if we go back to a Zelda game that feels like, I'm not even saying an older Zelda game like Ocarina of Time. I'm talking about like an older Zelda game as in Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. Like those kind
Hmm.
of designs of games. It's not going to feel as good as Breath of the Wild.
That's debatable.
How do you think?
Well, like I feel like for some reason, just like sometimes, even though like mechanics are a little outdated, they can still feel good, right? Like I think a perfect example of that is the Metro series, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
that's an old game, but that still feels fresh
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
good,
yeah.
right? Like Super Nintendo's Zelda: Link to the Past, right? That's an old game, but that feels pretty great to play even today.
That is true.
It's
That is true. I will give you that. That execution of those mechanics is a lot more important than the mechanics themselves.
mm-hmm.
But I guess basically what I'm thinking more of is the Breath of the Wild, with how they kind of took away a lot of the things that you just kind of accepted as a Zelda player. Like you can't jump as a Zelda player.
Mm-hmm.
As a person who plays Legend of Zelda, you cannot jump except in Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild says,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sure, Do it. Climb. Go to the top of that mountain. We won't stop you.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of breaks a lot of the ideas that a Zelda game has. A lot of the tropes, a lot of the mechanics ingrained into those games. And then what I'm saying is, like, if they were to jump back to those mechanics, I'm not necessarily saying it would be a bad thing, but I'm saying it will be a change, and I'm wondering how they're going to implement that.
That's true. That's true. I mean, like they always do quality work at least, so like it's gonna be interesting at least.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I don't have any thoughts of like, man, the next Zelda's gonna suck because Breath of the Wild's good, but it it's making me wonder if this has to be the new direction of Zelda, or if they can make a 3D Zelda in the old style and still make it feel good to play.
Yeah, I can see what you mean there.
Yeah.
I can definitely see what you mean there. It's just whether are they going to take this, or are they just going to keep rolling with it, or are they going to take it and try and build it off into a more set experience kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I kind of see what you mean.
Yeah. But as for Stalker, it's a crap game. 0 out of 10. Wouldn't you agree?
That's one way to put it, Drew. Now, I know you had something fun that you wanted to talk about as well.
Yes, I have story time.
Yeah, your story time.
So, I went and did a thing.
Okay.
I went to prom. As a 25-year-old man, I went to prom.
Should I call the police?
I mean, if you haven't already. No, so I went to an event called Nerd Prom.
Okay.
The idea behind it was that... Have you heard anything about the March for Science lately?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
I
so...
saw something on Reddit about that.
Yeah, all over the U.S., there was a big movement called March for Science, which was basically a movement to kind of talk about science-based facts and basically all these different topics that people feel like in the current political climate are being overlooked or shunned or anything like that. They feel like these things that we know are facts are being pushed off as saying, oh, that's just opinion or something like that. It's trying to bring like science to the forefront kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine was a coordinator for the Philadelphia version of this.
Okay.
And she brought up a bunch of these events where they had a whole bunch of them, like all over. There was some for the Franklin Institute. There was some for a couple of pubs nearby in Philly. All kinds of stuff. But she was organizing this one in Philadelphia for the Franklin Institute called Nerd Prom, which the way that it was pitched was that it is going to be a prom, but with all kinds of nerd science material attached to it at the Franklin Institute, which is basically the nerdiest place you could think of.
Okay.
You look at that and you're like, oh man, you get to learn about science and all this crazy stuff in there. It's cool. But she invited me along with a couple other friends. I wasn't going with her to prom. It was just invited with a couple of friends. And I was thinking, this could be fun. This could be a cool little event.
All right.
That
okay.
was not the case.
Well, what did it end up being?
It was... The best way I have to describe it, have you ever been to, like, an expo for something? Where, like,
Yeah.
you go table to table and they kind of show you stuff and, like, maybe, like, try and get you to sign up for, like, email lists and all that stuff?
Oh.
That's kind of what it was.
That is a very misleading title.
Yes. Now, mind you, there was a dance floor, there was a DJ, there was food and, like, all the prom necessities, but the entire institute's open to check out, to kind of walk around. But a lot of it's like tables with people at it where you can see some cool stuff, see some boring stuff, honestly. it was weird being there because essentially a bunch of people got really dressed up, and a lot of people acted like it was high school prom and got really drunk for essentially what was a science expo. it it was it was so weird because like I
That is that what?
yeah, like imagine you're like a college kid at like Rutgers or whatever, like a nearby school, and you hear
Uh-huh.
that the Frankensuit is throwing a nerd prom, and you're like, cool, I'll get to go to like a dance or a prom or something. I'll bring my date or something like that, and then you go, and other than the dance floor, there's basically a bunch of tables telling you about science and stuff.
That is, oh my god, that could only have been done by a science major.
It's so funny, but in like a weird kind of way. Certainly not like an intentional way where it's like, oh, this is like
Oh
they
no,
pulled
no,
the rug
like
out from under you. It was just like,
this is
man,
somebody's genuine effort, but they just didn't understand why it's weird.
yeah, like the branding was way off for it. Like the people who went did not understand exactly what the event was for. And of course there were little like mini bars everywhere, so they got that part down, but
Wait, wait,
next
wait,
to the
wait,
mini
wait.
bar there was like
So,
hmm?
they had mini bars everywhere?
Well, yeah, like tables with like wine and like beer and that kind of thing on it.
Why did they call it a prom? That is just weird.
I think they just wanted to avoid calling it like a dance or something.
You still come up better name with a prom. When I think of prom, I think high school.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think I think it's somebody. It's something for like, hey, you know, all those nerdy high school kids. Why don't you come on out, kind of deal, right? Like
Yes. Now,
that's what I'm thinking of what it is, and that's why I was thinking it was weird. Like, why did you agree to go? This sounds like a bad time,
now, mind you,
or like a time when you get the police called on you. Like this is not a good thing.
this was not marketed as bring your kids, bring your high school, bring your like high school kid. No, it was an adult event. They said like it's 21 and older because of drinks, but
Yeah,
calling it a
I get
prom
that.
certainly gives it a connotation.
Yeah, yeah, like
It gives you an idea behind it, but
yeah, like let's go out for our karaoke play date.
yeah, exactly. It's an odd
21 and
way of
o-
naming it.
21 and over. We'll meet up at we'll start at 10 a.m.
Yeah, and it was. I think it settled in for me what the event was because I was walking around and having a good time with the people I went with, and I walked basically. I was stretching my legs a little bit, walking around because my friends were in line for drinks, and I walked like 10 feet away from this like mini bar, and there was this huge NASA section where it was just a bunch of tables of people talking about the space program, and I'm like, hmm, this is disguised. This is disguised yeah, education.
Education.
And I'm just sitting there like, man, this is surreal. This is weird. But that's a thing I did. I
Oh my god, I don't know how to feel about that. Like I feel like some they should have like had a joint venture with like the marketing division in their school.
oh yeah, whoever was setting up this specific thing probably should have been like, maybe we should bring more nerdy stuff into it, more entertainment on top of the education stuff because people want to see the education stuff. I'm sure there's lots of people from schools here, but
Well, I'm
at the
just
same
saying
time,
alcohol, education. I mean, sure that makes a campus, but that doesn't make a party.
yeah, it certainly was. It certainly could have been a little bit better. But
I mean, I guess that's a thing for some people to get drunk and learn about the space.
learn about the space and the stars. Although I gotta say, if there was one really cool bit, have you ever been to the Franklin Institute?
Yeah, I've been to it a few times.
You know the planetarium they have?
Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, they actually had the dance there. It was kind of cool because on the ceiling they had a bunch of stuff projected on it. It was cool. It was actually kind of neat. But it was like one thing I was like, huh, that's kind of neat. In a sea of like, this is a weird mishmash of things going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I do have a second story.
Okay, let's go with that.
So I have my computer has been melting lately. It's even melting right now a little bit. I
Yeah.
bet that. Let me hold on. Let me wipe that up a little bit. So my computer has been having some issues lately, and
Okay. Issues?
I thought it was tied to a game. I thought it was tied to a game I play called Overwatch. Um, so I reached out to Blizzard customer service to help this get fixed because I thought I was almost dead set this was on Blizzard, like whatever the issue was.
All right.
I have never had a more pleasant experience with customer service than that experience. They are so in tune with how geeky they are that it's almost a beautiful thing to see.
Like, what do you mean?
Like when they connect you, like I did an IM chat, an instant message chat, and it linked me up with what was he called? Like Grand Shaman someone, like Grand Shaman Thomas or something like that. And it had a picture of like a Blizzard character up there, and on top of like trying to diagnose my problem, he also just was trying to making small talk with me and that kind of thing. It was kind of cool. Like basically how they have their customer service set up is one part fixing the problem and one part giving you an experience on top of it.
All right, that's unique.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I don't know if it's for everyone, but I mean, I thought it was actually really neat to see, and I wanted to kind of mention to you, to throw the ball to you, and see if you've ever had like a really kind of cool customer service kind of thing, kind of experience.
Um, Honestly, I've never really had anything like that.
Hmm.
Like, I've had like awesome servers before, right? Where like they definitely like make you feel like you're having an experience kind of deal.
Oh yeah,
But
well,
like,
I mean, it expands to that too. Like, and I'm not talking about specifically like you call up like your phone provider and you're like, oh man, I'm having crap service, and they're like, cool, dude, let's fix it. No, I mean like any kind of customer service experience.
I think like the best I can think of was like just people being friendly, really.
Hmm.
Like, it's surprising just like literally just people not being assholes can just make an experience better.
Literally just doing a good job.
Yeah, like it literally just somebody like actually being interested in their job. I find that I'm easily pleased.
Hmm. Well, what's
So I don't really have like any specific examples like a dude like, really made me feel comfortable kind of deal.
oh, I certainly do.
Wait, I do actually.
Okay,
So
I'm game.
I was getting my car towed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And basically, I was getting the runaround with my towing company. They said it was going to be hours before they showed up, and at that point, I was like, okay, I got to go to work. I'm just going to go, right?
All right.
Okay. And then the tow truck shows up, like after I cancel the tow. I
Huh.
was like, hey, you guys here to tow my car? It's like, yeah. Oh, okay.
Nice.
What do we? How's this gonna? I just canceled it. Like, can you still tow it or? And they basically said, no, we'll take care of everything for you. No worries. We'll just charge them for it. You called anyway, so the report's gonna be in there.
There you go. All
So
right.
they basically just treated me decently, and yeah, it got me to my mechanic. So yeah, that's my good story.
Nice. Well, what's it called? I've got a little thing, and it actually has to do with servers, like restaurant servers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like you, where basically all I want in a good server is someone who's like charismatic and just kind of like does their job well. Like I'm not looking for any flash or pizzazz, but when I get that, I'm excited. So, for one of my family members' birthdays, we went to this Italian place I don't remember what town it's in. Yeah, I don't remember, but it's not important. We went to this Italian place, and we were like a party of 10 or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the server just pulled out all the stops for this party. It wasn't even like we asked him to. It was just like I guess he was having a good day or something like that. Like he got tipped like an extra 20 or something to be really on point. But he was like talking to everyone. He was making jokes for people, making jokes at people. He was like really like a friendly kind of guy. And then he had this one last bit that like had everyone at the table losing it, where I guess the way they printed their receipts was on flash paper. Do you know what flash paper is?
Um, that's the stuff that you heat to actually have it written on, right?
No, no, no. So it is paper that catches fire instantly and goes out. Like the whole thing
Oh,
bursts into flames and it goes out immediately.
okay.
So he comes over with one receipt for whoever was paying the bill at the time, and he was like, "Oh, we're splitting the bill a little bit." He said like, "Who's splitting the bill?" And the guy's like, "Oh God, you're splitting it too many ways. I'm just gonna bring everyone a bill." So he brought like 20 bills over for everyone at the table,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's like, we're not paying. We're not. I mean, like I'm not paying specifically. Like this guy's paying, and he's like, oh, okay. So who's paying? And he's like, okay. So here's yours. Here's yours. Here's yours. And he takes the other like 10 that he had and just threw it into the candle that was there, and it lit on fire and just burned out immediately. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh yeah, yeah, that's a little trick I like to pull off. And he's like, well, I'll see it again. I'm like, yeah, that'd be fun. And he's like, yeah, hold on one sec. And he goes away. He's gone for like probably like 20 minutes while people figure out the bill. And they call him back over. And he comes back over and he's like, all right, so you're paying, you're paying. Oh, I almost forgot. He threw the thing into the fire again. I'm like, oh, God. It was just a really cool, like, step above to make it like an experience. I really kind of appreciated it. It was good.
It's kind of like when you go to a nice hibachi restaurant, right? And
Yeah,
like they do the
exactly.
show for you kind of deal. Yeah, I know what you mean now.
Yeah, where the guy has like jokes and like plays around a little bit and he's
Mm-hmm.
putting on a show. It's good.
He squirts you with like a little water toy, and the police get called. It's all good.
God. Oh, that story. That is a story.
That we don't need to talk about.
Yes, exactly.
So, transition. Assault
E-
guns.
yeah.
Drew, do you know what a assault gun is?
Can I take a guess?
Sure.
Is it a gun made of salt?
No.
Is
Try
it
again.
is it a gun that shoots salt?
That would be correct.
Ooh.
Now, what do you think you use a assault gun for? Besides child abuse.
Oh. 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 Um. Honestly, I'm thinking it's like the same deal as a potato gun, where it's just like a neat novelty. It's not like something for a specific purpose, like a paintball gun or a BB gun. It's like, hey,
Clearly,
you
you've
can
never
shoot salt.
potatoed gunned.
I, okay. Well, before we continue with salt gun, what is the use of a potato gun? Please inform me.
It is actually a great way to knock over cans, a great
Ooh,
way to shoot bottles,
that I
and to
feel.
play advanced paintball.
Okay, except for that last point, I feel like you're encroaching on BB gun territory.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
But well, I guess advanced paintball is a good way of potatoing.
See what you do, right? Is you get like potato skins, right? And you still have them hard, and then you kind of carve them out a bit, right? And then you put like mashed potato on the inside of it, right?
Oh, wait, what? See, my mind was like, oh, that makes perfect sense, and then just literally a second gear kicked in where it's like, no, it doesn't. What are you talking about? What? What do you mean you put? So okay, you have these hard potato skins,
Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
put
And
them
then you,
into the gun.
yeah, like a normal potato. Like you carve them out a little bit, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Then you just kind of stick them back together with like I don't know some sort of sealant or whatever, right? And you before you put them together, like you put some sort of filling in there, and then it's gonna be like a paintball, except harder and like bruising. I mean, you can use sour cream, you can
What?
use mashed potatoes, you can use cheese if you want.
Okay,
You can just
okay. Here's where I freely admit that I do not. I've never played with at least the potato gun you're talking about. I think you're just talking about like a modified paintball gun at this point.
I mean, honestly, you can still use a potato gun for this. I'm not guaranteed the intactness of the potato. It may become like a blunderbuss at that point, but hey.
I'm just imagining a blunderbuss that shoots a wave of mashed potato at someone, and it's. I might need this. So okay,
But
back
anyway,
on point.
now to the back
Salt
to the
gun.
real thing. Back to the real thing.
What?
Um
So what is a salt gun, and what do you? Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
all right. So I have a friend, right, that has a salt gun and I cannot not stare at it every time I go over his house, right? Just
Understandably.
because like it's just this cool little gun where you use it to like shoot flies.
Okay, so I have. I was gonna say I have many questions, but no, I just have one good question.
Okay.
How accurate do you have to be to shoot? I'm guessing it's like a pellet of salt. It's not just like little salt,
No, it's literally just salt. Just
like
normal table salt. That's all you're shooting.
like packed or just
No,
loose,
just regular salt.
like in granules,
Yes.
and it just shoots. Okay.
It's like birdshot, right? Like
Oh, so it
how
shoots a
bird
bunch of it.
Yeah.
So
So that's how
this would be a blunderbuss.
no, blunderbuss would be like you would just be it's shooting everywhere and it's like in your carpets and it's like all that kind of crap. This is only like a little bit amount, but it's enough to act like birdshot to actually get the fly. And it
Hmm.
goes fast enough to where it actually will get the fly. It's like a cooler fly swatter.
Hmm. See, I'm trying to think how. I guess it makes more sense now because it's like a wave that just kind of hits it. But like,
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm just thinking like that. Just the logistics on that. Also, now you're just gonna have a bunch of salt around your house.
There's worse things. Like, would you rather have a little bit of salt or, a fly buzzing around you all the time?
There's better ways to take care of flies than just salting the earth.
I don't know, man. I like measures that are like a little extreme but not too extreme, and this is kind of one of those things.
That's a good way of explaining it. I like that. But I'm just thinking now if you have like pets, there's just salt on the floor everywhere, and there's just
I mean, dogs will lick windows anyway, so like, nothing wrong with licking the carpet a little bit.
is there like a machine gun version of this where it just continually keeps shooting salt?
You, sir, have given me given me an idea to Google.
I I'm legitimately thinking like how does this work?
It's a pump. It's like a pump gun. Like it's an air pump kind of thing.
Okay.
And that's all you literally do. You just pump it, and through pressure, it just shoots out the salt.
Okay. I'll believe you.
I'm actually tempted just to get one, just for the sake of like being that guy that has a salt gun. And hey, did you get it? It was an assault gun. Did you?
Oh.
I'm gonna go away now.
Oh.
I'm sorry. The answer is no. There are no automatic salt guns, by the way.
Okay.
At least from what I can tell.
Alright, I have a video basically up of pretty much just salt gun videos. I'm gonna watch a bunch of these after we're done and see what exactly is the deal with this and how it works.
That's fine. You know what? I will put this in in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because you know what we're gonna have this time, Drew?
Show notes.
Yeah.
Woo! I can finally say things are. Man, now I'm just gonna start throwing everything in the show notes.
Hey, hey, you be nice.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
So, I've been mulling over a little bit of philosophy, if you will.
Hello, philosophizing.
Yeah, absolutely, truthfully, and verifiably. So,
Yeah.
so, Drew, what do you think makes a good person?
So you're not gonna throw a softball at me. You're just gonna start with the. Just gonna
like,
start
like,
with the
like,
the deep question.
yeah, I'm gonna go straight in. Like, okay, so here's the thing I've been mulling around, right?
Okay.
Okay, so like, does it matter if you're a good person? Like, that's the first question, I guess, right? And then if it does matter, what is a good person exactly? What does it mean to be a good person exactly?
Uh, I'm having trouble like grasping the question exactly. I get the base. Believe me, I'm not sitting here
Okay.
like, what is a good person? It's like, no, I have an idea of what I believe, but
Okay.
so 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 expand on your idea a little bit. Let me
All
know
right.
what your thought
Let's
process is.
scale back a little bit here, okay?
Okay.
So my thing behind this, right, is like, so like is being a good person about not doing bad things, or is it about doing enough good things to be considered a good person? Or is it about like balancing it out, or is it just being like just one tick over in the good category than the bad category, or you
hmm.
know, like how exactly would you define that? You know?
Well, all right. So here's here's the problem immediately. This is
All
going to be
right.
different for every person you meet.
That's fine. That's fine.
You are. I mean, you might get similar answers, but you certainly are not going to get the same answer from every single person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, it is important to be a good person.
Okay.
I don't think. I don't think. Well, here's another thing. When you say good person, obviously there's a counter to it, which is bad person. Now, do
Mm-hmm.
you mean someone who's an asshole? Do you mean someone who murders people? Do you mean someone who just like lives their lives neutrally and doesn't affect people?
I mean, really, you can kind of put it any way you see it, and that's kind of why it makes it really difficult to answer.
Yeah, because I mean, here's the thing: like it brings up a lot of questions when you break it down, really. Because you think about it, like, okay, a good person is basically, in my own eyes, somebody who does good acts for other people, such
You know what?
as. Hmm?
Oh, I'm. Go ahead, finish that.
Okay, I I believe a good person is someone who does good acts for other people. Now, this does not mean you need to be like a saint. This doesn't mean you need to be volunteering at a homeless shelter 7 days a week. But
Mm-hmm.
holding doors for people, talking to people, asking them about themselves, like catching up with friends, seeing how they're doing. It's not anything I think is hard, but being a base level person, a base
Isn't
level good person, just requires small acts of kindness.
I get you? Do you think it'd be easier to define this if like we defined like what a bad person is, or like what would you consider? I guess like somebody that's not a good person. I mean, clearly people that like obviously do harm unto others willfully, that makes them bad people,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
there are some
But like,
people.
does just avoid just not doing that like suddenly make you like okay, or like at least a good? at least a somewhat decent human being, or like.
I don't think avoiding doing the terrible thing makes you a good person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you're
Like,
saying.
I didn't push someone down the stairs, therefore I'm a good person. That doesn't really work. I, it's much harder to define like a bad person because there's so many different ways that could be interpreted.
Hmm.
It could be, like I said, someone who's just an ass, like someone who just decides like to steal your parking spot at the last second, or cut in front of you in line or something like that. Or it could be a murderer who's, I think most people would agree, is a bad person. So, I mean, there's many different ways you could define a bad person. How about you? Like, how do you define someone as a specifically good person? Like, does that person need to
Well, for
impress you
me,
to do that, or is it just simply like that person needs to be not an ass?
honestly, I kind of see it as somebody that does more good than bad in their life, I guess. Like that, I guess that's how I would define it. Like somebody that's given more to people than he's taken away from. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I guess to help define what a good person is, I have to define what a bad person is, right? Like I see a bad person as somebody that willfully hurts others, kind of deal. Like that's in the broadest and simplest terms. That's kind of how I would put it.
So, how would you feel about someone who was dead neutral, who really didn't affect a lot of people's lives? Like, let's say this person's kind of a
Okay.
shut in. This person just kind of
All right.
doesn't interact with a lot of people. When they interact with people, it's generally pleasant, but it's not anything nice or bad. It's just simply like, oh, hi, how is it going? Good.
I mean, I guess that kind of just makes them just straight neutral, I guess. I mean, like you're not you wouldn't be a bad person at that point since you don't try and you don't hurt people, at least in any kind of attempted way, and you don't really try and to make people's days worse. But you mean you also don't try and make them any better either. So, eh, it kind of puts you straight in the middle.
Yeah, I guess I'll,
But but I don't. I think it's kind of hard to be like that straight neutral person because if you are that type of neutral person though, right? You could at some point end up accidentally hurting somebody, and then if you don't try fix that, right? That would mean you're willfully negligent, right? And that would kind of put you into the the more bad person
hmm.
category, you know? Like even just like strictly abstaining from everything in its own way can be bad.
Yeah, I guess in a way,
You see what I'm saying?
it's coming down to the fact that it, like everything I believe, it's all on a gradient. It's all on. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
not
for sure.
good person, bad person, side A, side B. It's simply just all kinds of
Yeah,
different shades of
it's
it, and I guess I'm interested more in what would it take for someone to, if a stranger asked you about, let's say, me, hey, how's Andrew,
okay.
how is he as a person, what would it
Hmm.
take for you to describe me as a good person? I don't know if you describe me
Um
as a good person
s-
currently, but for the sake of this thought experiment, some stranger came up to you and asked you about me, what would it be?
I would say I would say you're somebody that's considerate of their friends and let's see. Somebody that tries not to offend people and tries to be a helpful person when he can. Just basic
Okay,
stuff
I'm
like
writing this
that.
down. I'm writing this down.
I mean, it's stuff but like it's like I would genuinely consider you like a good person kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like I don't think of you as like that guy that like doesn't use turn signals.
Oh, now we're getting to some deep shit. And how do you feel about people who don't use turn signals?
They're the devil, I tell you.
They're just the worst people. I think we can all agree. They're just the worst people. Oh my god, I can't believe it. No, it because I'm always interested in seeing like what people's, I guess, scales are. Because I've known plenty of people who think of this as a good person needs to do enough good in their life to reach a point where I'm like impressed by them.
Yeah, I mean, like that's not really how I see good. Like I did like mention like that you have to like do more good than bad in your life, but like that's genuinely not hard to do though, right? Like that's literally as you said, just like opening doors for people and it's really simple stuff. Like it's the everyday actions that you decide to take. Like do you decide to be that guy? Like you know what? I'll keep this door open. Or you're like that person's right behind me. I don't care. And just keep on walking, and the door just shuts in their face, kind of deal, right? Like it's really simple stuff, right? It's the little things that you do that can like build up, kind of deal. It's like how you choose to actually live your life is how you can determine if somebody's good or bad. I mean, it's of course very hard to know that of somebody. It takes time, right? But like it's people's everyday actions in what they do throughout their day or their week, and whether they're going to try or not try and be just base
How
level
much effort
good.
they put out into it.
And yeah, like it's literally the smallest things. It's literally just being like, hey friend, you doing okay? Or it's literally to be like, or you're just gonna focus on yourself that day, and just kind of be like, yo, screw people, right? Are just because you're having a bad mood, are you gonna take it out on your server, or are you just gonna be like, no, no, I'm gonna be decent? Like it's literally how somebody carries themselves, and like how they act towards others, and that can really determine like if somebody's good or bad. It's not just like like murdering somebody or like like just like trying to make somebody's day worse, right? It's literally just like how you carry yourself, because how you carry yourself can affect other people.
Yeah, and of course, on top of all this, like something like a first impression counts a lot for how
Mm-hmm.
people see each other. Like, for instance, I I have some friends that I had really terrible first impressions of. Really
Mm-hmm.
awful. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't ever want to meet these people. Like these people are just terrible people. But over time you get to know them a bit more and you get to understand, not even understand that they're bad people, just like they had a bad day or that was a terrible first impression,
Mm-hmm.
or they were going through some stuff and that was just kind of a phase in their life and now they're better ish.
Mm-hmm.
it it really comes down to, on top of being a gradient scale of like, oh, this person's good, bad, somewhere in between, that gray area in between, it comes down to also overall how they act, not just simply,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that one day he was terrible, so overall he's a terrible person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, I guess the question I would ask after that is,
Mm-hmm.
do you consider yourself a good person?
I'm unsure. Like I feel like I try and do good, right? And I do try my best, but I'm not sure if I'm at the point. Like if I viewed myself, right, like from an outside, I wouldn't say I'm a bad person, but I don't know. It's kind of unfair to try and judge yourself in that way. I mean, like how would you describe it?
Well, I guess first I would say it's it's really like that is an incredibly hard question to ask someone because I've never come across well, okay, I've come across very few people in my life who have said yes or no, like directly, immediately. They're like, yes, I'm a good person, or no, I'm a bad person. It's like most people are like, I'm trying.
Because like I definitely because like I for sure hold myself to a higher standard than I do other people. Like I know that about myself. Like I like I don't consider myself a bad person, right? But like I'm not sure if I'm at the point where I'd say yeah I'm a good person. Like yes, kind of deal.
well,
I mean I'm trying to be, so I guess that counts for
well,
something.
well, yeah.
Maybe.
What would you consider something you'd have to do to make yourself into saying, yeah, I'm a good person. I'm I'm a good person to be around.
I would say when I am a fully independent person is when I can say that, right? Because when I'm finally like fully on my own kind of deal, you know, like I'm graduated college, that kind of stuff, right? I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet without be having to rely on others, right? And then I can decide to do something good,
So
right?
you're putting being a nice person on personal achievement.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Like I still see it like I would definitely consider somebody in that situation that they could still be good, right? But for me personally, I wouldn't judge myself that way until I would be able to stand on my own and still do good things, kind of deal, right? Like when it's completely just completely on myself to do the right thing, that I would do that right thing, kind of deal. You feel
Like
what I'm
nothing
saying?
else is backing it up. Nothing. It's not like you have parents standing over you, or a girlfriend standing over you, or a friend standing over you. It's just simply you on your own doing a thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. You know, like I have my own financial incentive. Like I would just like be able to like donate to something that needs help or something. Like stuff like that.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've never thought about it that way, where it's all about personal achievement more than the acts themselves. Because the way I see myself and how I see being a good person, I think I'm doing a decent job. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I would consider myself a great person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about that like talk about the God. I was trying to remember somebody from Civ 5. Like one of the great people make a joke out of it. Sun Tzu? No,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote the Art of War. Never mind. What? You know what? The joke's dead. Never mind. I I was
Okay, you tried, and I didn't know
well, I
where it
was
was
sitting there
going.
like trying to think of a great person in Civ 5, and I'm like, it's been long enough. I don't remember a lot of them. But anyway, eh, I don't consider my personal achievements in if I'm a good person or not. I really do consider it in that day to day kind of thing, where I see it more
Mm-hmm.
as I'm not sitting there like every day saying like I did 6 good things, so I'm a good person today. But I do think like overall on the scale of things I did well and things I didn't do well, how does that stack up? I
Okay, that's fair.
I wouldn't say I believe in a system of karma per se. Like I don't believe there's
Mm-hmm.
some cosmic justice out there where I'm gathering points and saying, "Yes, I'm owed so much good things because I did so many good things." But what goes around comes around kind of is more my philosophy towards it. You know?
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. Like the way I kind of see it, right? Those that do good
Yeah.
attract good, right? It's not necessarily that just because you do good that good things will happen to you. It's saying that if you do good, you're most likely to be around other good people, and those good people are most likely to do more good things around you, kind of deal, right? Like if you're involved with somebody that you know, does business fairly, right? And you do business fairly yourself. You're most likely to have like a really good relationship with them, kind of deal, right? Like or like there's this one dude. It's actually a friend's uncle or something like that, right? Where he's always been a very cheap and miserly man and tries and controls people with money kind of deal, right? Just because he's lived life like that, he's the only people he has around him are interested in money, and thus he doesn't really have decent people around him. He may be successful, but he also doesn't have like quality people around him as well.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. It
Right, like it's the people that only focus on like what they want will not necessarily always get what they need. If you get what I'm
if I hear
throwing
the
out
song
there.
that you're quoting.
Am I quoting a song?
Oh God, yeah, I forgot you don't know songs. There's a song where a lyric is sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you need, kind of thing. Yeah, never
Okay.
mind. I thought you were making it. Again, dead joke.
No.
It was dead on arrival.
Hey, it's okay. That's what she told me.
Jesus. Well, I feel like we both have said our piece about being a nice person or not. But
Yeah, I think. I feel like we had something here.
the
Yes.
ultimate question:
Yes.
have you ever heard of the trolley problem?
Yes. I have.
So here's the ultimate test: if you are a good person, Ant. If a trolley is
All right.
running out of control down a street, and
Mhm.
it's going to run into 5 people, and you have a lever that's going to
Yep.
push it into one person, what
Yep.
would you do?
All right. I would sacrifice for the good of the all.
No, you don't get.
One
Oh, okay. I
person
thought you were
dies.
saying you jump in front of him. Like, no, that's not how this works. Then you and 5 other people die, unless you pulled the lever, then jumped in front of it. Then 2 people die.
Actually, I would probably just shout and say, "Get out of the way, you idiots!" And
You look at him and be like, "What are you doing? You dinguses? Get out of the way!" I don't think people are that quick.
all right, but yeah, I would, yeah, I'd get rid of the one person.
I don't know if that's what a good person would do. This is where it all breaks down, Ant. This is where it all breaks down.
It's all turtles.
What?
It's all turtles down.
Turtle? Turtle?
It's a Greek thing, okay?
What?
Okay, so it okay. You had dead jokes.
Okay,
this is my
yes,
turn
please,
now.
do tell.
All right. So the thing is,
Explain
right?
the
Like
joke.
you know how like the whole Greek maps, right? They had like the world on top of a turtle's back, kind of deal. And the thing is, like, it's all turtles down, so it's just more turtles on top of turtles. It's okay. Yep. What a time we're having here.
I'm just so confused.
So
This is like Greek myths?
No, yeah, sort of, right? They thought like the world was held up by a giant turtle or something like that.
Are you talking about Stephen
weird.
King novels?
No, I'm literally. This is a thing. This is a thing, Drew. Like I like to pull things that are fake out of history. I mean, technically, this is mythology, so it's
Greek
sort of fake.
Turtle myth. Apparently, Zeus and the tortoise, something like that. What?
All right, guy. All right. Well, this was a blank space. We filled it in with something.
Apparently, home is
Yes?
best for this tale. I still don't know what you're talking about.
All right. We had a time today. We filled
With
it in,
something.
and I wish you people. Yep, it's something. Buenos noches.
Bye.